We got Gators Breakdown here. We know we're business.
Gators Breakdown. Because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I am your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. And for sure, just never a dull moment. Now, that's why I'm coming at you if you're on YouTube right now. And thanks a good bit of you are a little bit right now. Just impromptu, kind of impromptu. You know, when we got news, I'm coming live at some point. But never a dull moment. So I'm coming at you like 11:15 at night. You know, if you want the podcast version and to be ready for your drive, your morning drive, going back to work after the holiday. But yeah, never a dull moment. So of course, just doing more work right here on Gators Breakdown. I mean, this ain't work. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. So hey, I've always said the moment it doesn't become fun is the moment I'll stop. So we're having a lot more fun right now, though, aren't we? Gators flipping another one. Another. Joseph Mbatchou comes back to Florida after decommitting, committing to Texas about a week ago, and now back at Florida. So there we go. Another one for the Gators, and we'll get into it. Some transfer portal news as well, as we get the news that Justus Boone and Jean will be heading to the transfer portal. So we'll get into all that as well. But hey, thanks for a good bit of you joining me right here. As I said, now one reason, if you've been on social media, you've kind of seen all the good news following Florida on this Sunday with early signing day coming up on Wednesday. Get the big win over Florida State. That one after the big win over LSU and Ole Miss. And Florida's the talk of the recruiting world right now. And on Sunday, I didn't want to come up and do an episode at like, say, 6, 7 o'clock and then have to do another one. Because that's how good the news is for Florida on the recruiting trail right now. So I kind of just wanted to let the dust settle and, get all the news in one episode. So waited a little bit just to see if anything else would happen on Sunday night. But just for now, defensive lineman Joseph Mbatchou flips to the Gators from Texas. So lots to get into. But that's one reason this episode is kind of coming so late. So sorry about that. But hey, looks like you guys are ready for it anyway. Good stuff. Good stuff. Everybody hit that like button. Thank you for joining me live right here, late Gators Breakdown, or to be just a replay for you on YouTube or your podcast platform. But hit that like button if you're here on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. If you haven't done so yet, believe me, you're going to want to be. News is coming fast and furious. There's going to be a lot of good news coming up this week to put, to put a bow on the season and to count down to early signing day. And here's an announcement. This week on Gators Breakdown, Vernell Brown III will come back on Gators Breakdown. He will join me as, early signing days this week. So I want to bring, for now, the top-rated recruit in Florida's class. But Vernell Brown's going to come back on Gators Breakdown. Had him the week he committed to Florida. And I'm going to welcome him back. I wanted to get him back on and just get his view of everything that has happened in the last few months. We got with him in July. So he's had a season to play. Florida's had a season to play. And just a roller coaster of a season it has been. We're going to get it through Vernell Brown III's eyes as well. So going to be a cool episode, I think, coming up this week. And who knows what happens in between here and there and what we're going to talk about. But it's going to be right here on Gators Breakdown. So subscribe if you haven't done so yet. So hey, I'll get to some comments. There's another reason I wanted to do this live is get some of the comments. I enjoy, chat with you guys here. Harrison Sanchez, go Gators. Hey, Harrison, thanks for being a member in here. Keeping it going. JC, good to see you again. Go Gators, she says. Kimpo Karate says, go Gators. Travis Peterson says, today felt oh so good. Go Gators. And I hope you woke up on this Sunday morning and that coffee tasted oh so good because it did for me. And I needed it too. You guys know I was up late doing the post-game episode for Florida State, waking up early, getting some articles putting up on gatorsbreakdown.com. So got about 4.5 hours of sleep. Still running on that right now. So and another late night episode of Gators Breakdown. What are we doing here? What are we doing? As Harrison says, it's all Bugatti Billy's fault. Getting us all these recruits, keeping me up late at night. Hey, man. We'll absolutely take it. Travis Peterson said, absolutely. The air just tasted better today. Jim Martin said, 11 p.m. cast? Yeah. Yeah. It's just how it's just how it falls today. Austin Harlan, with players starting to enter the portal, who do you think are potential targets? Also, I'm not going to get into that quite yet. We've seen some names float out there. Rivers, the FIU wide receiver, is certainly the big one I'm looking at right now. I'm going to save that a bit till we get some more names in there so we can kind of have a better episode about that. But that's one that caught my eye. A couple receivers in the portal already, but that's the one that caught my eye so far. Let's go. Travis said he meant the air smells better. There we go. Okay. Oscar DeFore, when should we expect any more commits earlier than early signing day? I think so. I don't think they'll all wait till Wednesday if Florida's going to be getting some more. Let's see. JC says it doesn't matter what time. Give it to me. We got to recruit. There we go. There we go. Robert Hurd says, hey, Robert, thanks for joining live here. Always listen to the podcast. First time live. Well, welcome. Brian Fisher, here we go. Gators Breakdown. We are so back. Man, this just feels good. It has been some time. Like I mentioned in the last episode, I was asked last week, when's the last time Gator Nation has felt like this? It's been a while. It has been a while. So if you feel like it's back, let's go. Will S says, late night Gators Breakdown. Let's go. Billy has been on fire recruiting lately. Hopefully we finish strong, close on these final big names. All right, I'm going to come back to some comments, but let's get into it. That's what we're here for. That's what I'm going to be bringing to you guys. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, you know how we do it right here on Gators Breakdown. Hey, we got a commits. And this one, defensive lineman Joseph Mbatchou from Loganville, Georgia, playing for that powerhouse Grayson. 6 foot 4.5, 280 pounds. I've even seen a listing at 6'6". So we'll see if we can get that clarified a little bit more. So, okay, just say 6'5". just a good happy medium there. But hey, there we go. 4-star flips from Texas to commit to the Gators again. And Mbachu comes in as the 291st overall player in the country on the 24/7 Sports Composite and the 31st ranked defensive lineman. A bit higher on the On3 industry rankings, coming in at the 258th overall player and the 22nd ranked defensive lineman. He previously committed to the Gators last summer, but backed off that pledge this fall. And Mbachu had been committed to the Longhorns for about a week, since November 23rd, before flipping back to Florida. And Mbachu officially visited the Gators that weekend of November 16th when Florida upset LSU. And he was back on campus today, on this Sunday. So the biggest reason for him decommitting originally was the uncertainty surrounding Billy Napier's job status. That's what he said in the interviews when it happened and when he was back on campus. Once that vote of confidence came from the administration, he wanted to give Florida another look. There we go. And that look paid off. Getting him back into class. Hey, look, it pays off in the end for Florida. I mean, Florida was the first one to offer. Florida was early on the process here. And it's going to end up paying off for the Gators. Hey, a lot shorter drive from Georgia to Gainesville than it is from Georgia to Austin, Texas. But very interesting. Very interesting prospect. Let's pull up some highlights. And guys, remember, I mean, he's this highly rated, and he did not begin playing football until earlier this year. He's originally from Cameroon. So the Gators became his first Power 5 offer. His recruitment really took off after his initial commitment to Florida as he reeled in offers from programs, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, LSU, Michigan, Tennessee, USC, all got in the mix here. And, of course, when things were looking shaky in Gainesville, he took several trips, ended up had a lot of options there, ended up committing to Texas. So it certainly looks like a fit at the 3 technique spot along the defensive line. He's very fast off the ball, great using his hands to disengage off blocks. Definitely great size to work with, but not sure I see him inside. at least early. It's going to be, I think, difficult to beat some double teams in college. So not sure I see that, but at the very least, as a raw player, it's hard to know. We'll see how much weight he could probably pack on too, and we just don't know fully what he can be. Of course, with just not much playing the game of football, only starting this season. So a ton of potential here. 12 games this season. He has 25 total tackles, 3 sacks, 13 tackles for loss. So he's got 25 total tackles, and 13 of them are tackles for loss. So a very raw player, still learning the game. So really just kind of hard to know and hard to project what you're going to get here down the road. Just not a lot to look at. And he's still, the recruiting services still really high on him. Now, a lot of the recruiting services still, really high on potential. And that's what you see here. Very raw athlete. So we'll see. But glad to have him back in the class. And hopefully, not an instant impact kind of guy. I was just saying. I mean, you're not going to go play, one season in a high school playoff run. And if he comes in here and he's an instant contributor, he don't have to be for Florida. That's another thing about this. It doesn't have to be. Florida's got some young, good defensive linemen. We'll hit the portal for more, of course, coming up this offseason. But certainly won't be forced to come in and play, develop. And as I said, it could be interesting to see how he develops just because there's just not a lot to fall back on. So this is Florida's 22nd commit for Florida's 2025 class. And now has the Gators up to the 12th spot on the 24/7 Sports Composite rankings. Up front on defense, Mbachu joins the recently committed Jaden Woods, Jalen Wiggins at the edge spot for those two guys. Also, Stephon Shivers and Jeremiah McLeod along the defensive line. So 5 names up front now on the Gators defense in this class. Elsewhere, of course, on that side of the ball, you got 4-star Ben Hanks Jr., linebackers Ty Jackson and Miles Johnson. The defense is getting better and better. And Florida's not done. Florida's not done. I mean, the defense that's at least what you got right now. And it's got the potential to be better. And we're about to get into that too. But let's welcome Joseph Mbatchou back into the class. Had a little change of heart. All is good. We'll forgive. Flip from Texas. I mean, look, let's not forget that part of it now. You got that team going, playing in Atlanta this week for the SEC championship. Texas is in the college football playoff really no matter what now. And Florida just got it rolling right now and goes and takes a defensive lineman from a team that's going to go to the college football playoff, playing in the SEC championship. That's not to be overlooked. And you heard me bring up the other big names that was in the mix here too. So you can't use this as, Florida, they were the first to offer him and this is an under-the-radar type of guy. No, he shot up the recruiting boards. I think Florida getting in early helps. But now this late season surge on the field, off the field, really helps Florida here. But at this moment in time, being able to flip a guy from Texas, that's noticeable. And Florida may not be done. 22 commits. How will it all work out? Let's get into the storylines of the day. If you were on social media and I saw it in the comments, look, if you're here too, you're a diehard. I know you're a diehard anyway. So a lot of this, I'm not breaking any kind of news to you. We just like to all discuss it right here. 22 commits. How will it all work out? Just how many will Florida take with this newfound interest from high school prospects and knowing Florida needs to be aggressive in the portal coming up? So I don't want to get too in the weeds about numbers right now. It'll work themselves out. And we've already discussed, running back Chad Gasper in this class likely having to be a walk-on at Florida if he wants to be in this class. So that likely frees up a spot. Plus, we'll see what happens to the current roster as we got the news today of Justus Boone and Andy Jean hitting the portal. We'll hit on that in just a bit. So we'll see what happens. No sense breaking it down too much numbers-wise right now as early signing day is Wednesday. So we'll see then how many Florida decides to bring in. And the portal still has to work itself out. But Florida right now, guys, it's big game hunting season. We got a few days till Wednesday and early signing day, but Florida's going big game hunting to close this class out before Wednesday. So if you were all on social media, if you've all been on the websites, if you've been on Gators Breakdown Plus Discord, we've been talking about it all day. You've seen the talk. Let's start with 4-star safety Lagonza Hayward. Committed to Tennessee. Well, on Sunday, while on Florida's campus, decommitted from Tennessee. Georgia has felt good at one time about flipping him, but the timing suits Florida, and now we've seen crystal ball picks for Florida to get this flip. Hayward had heavy interest in Florida before committing to Tennessee. Remember, he had those string of visits, and we kind of knew there were some visit highs. You know, he was taking different visits, and he liked that school, and he liked this school, and that was a leader, this was a leader, and Florida was a leader at one point. He commits to Tennessee. Well, looking like he's going to be flipping to Florida before it's all said and done. Florida looking good for that one right now. Now, guys, you know, I put the disclaimer out yesterday. It's recruiting. It's a roller coaster. We'll all see how this plays out in the next few days. Nothing is ever 100% in these things. The Cormani McLean original recruitment is one that would just always stick in my mind. No matter what you hear, it's going to be, from now on for me, is for as sure as it can be, there's still that one little bit. It will never be 100% for me anymore. But we can sit here and say right now, Florida looking good for Lagonza Hayward. Another flip predicted to happen. Another one. This one's big. Jacksonville Mandarin safety Hilton Stubbs. Also taking a short drive down to Gainesville on Sunday. He was on campus on Sunday. He's been predicted to flip from Miami to the Gators. You know, but this top 50-ish player, top 5 safety in the country, could join Hayward in giving Florida the best safety haul in the country. This one looked great for Florida in the spring before a commitment to USC, then a flip to Miami, and now Florida in it at the end. Florida looks to be putting themselves in pretty good shape for the flip here. We'll see. This is, this is crunch time. This is, wheeling and dealing, things are just going to be, you're going to hear so much in these next couple of days. But right here, another one trending for the Gators. Can you imagine this safety haul right here? And we know Florida needs some help at that spot. Got some young guys playing well in that spot during, closing out this season. But you want to be able to continue that stacked talent. You'd be doing it right here, being able to flip these two guys. Two other names where it's a little harder to get a feel for a flip. Two other Jacksonville targets. Let's stay at Mandarin for Texas commit wide receiver Jamie French. Seems to be the thought that he's entertaining flipping to Florida more and more. Gators could get this one done too. Offensive lineman Solomon Thomas. Certainly seems like a flip from FSU is imminent. But who? Is it Florida? Is it LSU? There's some conflicting info on that one. So in one, certainly we're going to have our eyes in, get the binoculars out, zoom in on that one, keep your eye on it. But the interesting thing is, what's going to be the timeline? That's all I asked. And I don't think all these will go to Wednesday to early signing day. And hopefully you get your answer either way. So if you do want to pivot, like I said, I think Florida's going big game hunting. These are the targets. Might be a couple more out there, but Florida's not going to be reaching here to finish out this class. One more name I think we have to bring up that we recently brought up on another episode was 4-star cornerback and Tennessee commit Onis Conanbanny. Hope I said that right. I wasn't getting it out pretty good. He should be considered on flip watch as well. Was supposed to be on campus today. Heard some conflicting if he made it or not. We'll end up seeing there. So right there, this could set up to be an epic finish for Florida with early signing day on Wednesday. A lot of good news coming out on this Sunday. Florida trending in the right direction. Let's go put a bow on it. Okay, I'm going to go to some comments before we get into the transfer portal news. All right, here we go. Let me see if I can catch back up where we are at. JT says, what are the chances with French? 50-50? I think that's about as good as we can ask for right now as well. And as I said, I've seen it on different recruiting services. We've had some talk on Gators Breakdown Plus Discord. He's seriously considering it. Harrison Sanchez said, everyone here, Dave? For now. That's just kind of the magic word. You know, as I said, this time of year and the way recruiting is now with NIL and money, and look, we know we can't hide behind it. We know that's what it is. This thing can change in an instant. And I think the buy-in is there for Florida now. I think that's one reason, one of the biggest reasons, the wins and the buy-in money-wise is why we're seeing this surge right here and all the storylines that we're following heading into Wednesday. Corey, I've heard this too. They say French is a lock if we get Stubbs, and he was just crystal ball. Oh, yeah, I've heard that too. I won't necessarily say as far as a lock, but it makes it a little bit. Well, it makes it easier, and I think there's a connection there as well. So, work still to be done, but yeah, I think if you get Stubbs in this class, you get that flip completed. They can really help with French. Q Lee says, there we go. Let me bring it up as well. Loving these flips, but not happy until they sign that paper. You got to keep it in the back of your mind, for sure. Chandler Register, win versus FSU won me $1,800. I was sweating over the 6.5 wins. Okay, there you go. Bet the over. Last 3 weeks was awesome. I know a couple people who were who were on that. Now I know some people got it less than 6.5. So I don't know where you found 6.5. And I know you were sweating it. I know you were sweating it. Sin Z says, yeah, Eric Rivers, yeah, the FIU wide receiver. If we're looking at transfer portal targets, that's the one that jumps out immediately to me. Muddy Waters, we'll get into transfer portal talk here in just a second. That's why this is coming up tomorrow. I'm expecting Boardingham to enter, possibly Burke. Yeah, that would be two guys I'd be looking out for as well. Brian Fisher says, is it crazy I've watched the Cadets game 4 times already? No, it's not crazy. I say, you guys are in here because you die hard, you love Gator football. That's not crazy. That's not crazy at all. It's a win over FSU. Jeremy Fisher, Stubbs, and Hayward, 2 elite safeties looking good for us. Man, just a week ago, heck, even a few days ago, you started hearing whispers about the Hayward thing, not Stubbs until very recently. But a week ago, 2 weeks ago, wouldn't have thought this was even possible. Sin Z, this would be some good news. Cam Jackson was teammates with Eric Rivers at Memphis. He's trying to get him to go to Florida. Hey, there we go. That would help. I mean, kind of the same thing with Ricky Pearsall and Elijah Badger. You had that connection at Arizona State. Pearsall putting in a good word for the Gators. That paid off really good. Oh, okay. A lot of comments. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Muddy Waters brings up a good point. Yep, that's kind of what I was bringing up earlier. We're flipping Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee commits. Shows how special they know what's to come. These teams are already in the playoffs. The Lagway effect. Hey, that's a good point. I brought up Texas being in the college football playoff, but hey, this is an expanded playoff. So yeah, Georgia's going to be in it. Tennessee's going to be in it. And Florida's flipping guys from all of them. Flipping guys from teams that will be in the college football playoff. Winning 7 games. As you said, the Lagway effect, they see the potential here. Florida still got to go out there and get it done. When we kick off next season, you got to go win some games. You got to be in the conversation in November. But that's what they're seeing. They see, and they can be a part of that. And as Q Lee says, UOA finally bringing out the Brink truck. There's a couple angles to this for sure. Okay. Good stuff. Michael Bozeman. Hey, Michael, good seeing you, man. Looks like a top 5 class incoming. Hey, man, I'm here for it. If it gets up to there, I mean, you get these names you get most of these names we just went over, you can be pushing for it. And I didn't even see top 10 a few weeks ago. And here we are. All right, let's get into it. Rob S does bring up a good question, but I don't think so. But we're gonna get into it right here. With Boone leaving, does that mean Sapp coming back? It's unrelated to in my opinion. I don't think it has anything to do with that. But let's get into that. Let's get into the day news as well. One day after Florida beats FSU and the regular season is over, we get word of a couple players hit the transfer portal. Defensive lineman Justus Boone. I tell you, one of the been around the program a little bit the last couple of years, and one of the better people I've been around. So of course, he reportedly entering the transfer portal. Not official yet. The portal's not even open yet. But guys, letting the intentions be known. Pete Nakos of On3 reporting this one first about Justus Boone entering the transfer portal. 6'4", 266-pound redshirt junior appeared in the team's first 11 games this season. Limited impact, 10 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a half a sack, 1 pass breakup. And look, guys, I mean, we've seen it. As the defense has improved up front in recent weeks, he hasn't really been on the field all that much. You know, other players moved ahead of him on the depth chart. You've seen the guys who have made the impacts. Justus Boone just hasn't been one of those guys. During his 4 seasons in Gainesville, tallied 37 career tackles and 2 sacks. And we go back to a year ago. Go back to last season, the 2023 season. And that was meant to be Boone's breakout season. But, of course, preseason, suffered a torn ACL in training camp. He missed the entire season. It just looked like he hasn't been able to get back to that point. So who knows how much that really plays a factor. It plays a factor some. So we'll see what happens there with Justus Boone. Hate to see him go. Completely understand it. With the production level there. Where will he go? Originally from South Carolina. Can he get on the Gamecocks roster? Hey, man, a little bit of trade. We get Pup Howard, and a year later you get Justus Boone. Both guys returning home. But, you know, certainly one of the most stand-up guys on that roster. So hopefully I wish all the best for Justus Boone and in his endeavors. But looks like he'll be hitting the transfer portal. And also on Sunday, another one, just kind of hate to see that it just didn't work out. Wide receiver Andy Jean, it was announced and reported that he's going to enter the transfer portal. Remember now, part of that promising trio with Trey Wilson and Aiden Mizell coming in, his career at Florida just really never gained momentum. Recorded just 6 receptions for 97 yards, all during the 2023 season. As a true freshman, he appeared in only 4 games, so he was able to redshirt. So he saved a year there. His first career catch came against Charlotte for 32 yards. Had those 4 catches versus Kentucky last season and 1 catch against Vanderbilt. Also returned 2 kickoffs for 44 yards. This season, his only appearance came in Florida's early season victory in Starkville against Mississippi State. An injury forced him to miss spring camp. So, you know, just the ongoing health issues limited his opportunities on the field. So we'll see where Andy Jean ends up going. Does he stay in state? Does his lack of production the last couple of seasons, will a team like Miami take a chance on him? Will he have to go somewhere else and kind of prove himself? Going to be interesting storyline there for Andy Jean. But hate it didn't work out. He's dealing with the injuries there. So, you know, like I said, part of that exciting trio that came in, Wilson and Mizell. We'll see what that ends up being for Gators in the future. But one part of that trio on his way to the transfer portal in Andy Jean. So, well, there we go. There's your news. Getting you caught up. The transfer portal stuff. That's going to be fast and furious as well. Will Miles and I will get together on Monday night to look back at the FSU game. We'll take a look at the signing day, but as you guys have already mentioned here in the chat, I would not be surprised when we get to that Monday night episode, we might hear another name or two putting their name into the transfer portal for the Gators. Q Lee says, this one would stink too because of the injuries. Devin Moore, glass ass can go too. He's a 5 to 6 game player. I mean, that's the tough part of this. These guys are getting paid now. And the best ability is availability. If you can't stay on the field, and NIL money has got to go one place or another, how does that play into it? I like Devin Moore. I think he's a good player when he's out on the field, but you got to be on the field. Dwayne says, give Gums number 1. With Justus Boone? Now, number 1 on the defense opens up a bit now. We'll see. Like if somebody like Tyreek Sapp decides to come back and he wants it, you give it to him. But it has kind of been, right there at that edge spot there with Justus Boone and Princely the last couple of years. So we'll see. We'll see. But if Sapp decides he would look weird on him a little bit. But hey, if he comes back and he wants that number 1, Tyreek Sapp, you get that number 1. I hope he comes back. Hey, Dylan, man, thank you so much. Appreciate your dedication to our team, Dave. You're the best, man. Go Gators. Dylan, man, go Gators. Thank you so much for that comment. Florida boy, plant the flag. Hey, Florida, plant the flag on the recruiting trail right now, too. Plant that thing and, hey, recruits, come on. Come on. JJP will expand this episode a little bit with some of these comments, and then I'll sign off. Did talk about this on the last episode a good bit on the FSU postgame. What bowl game would you like for the Gators? I prefer one after Christmas. Well, I think you're probably going to get your wish because I think it's going to be the Gator Bowl on January 2nd. I think it's a 7:30 kickoff too. Might be the only bowl game that day. So prime time bowl game here in Jacksonville for the Gator Bowl. I think we're going to start seeing that one a lot. That's the one I want to. I'm local. The Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa, because I know a lot of people want to go to that one as well. I'd be fine with either one. But if I want to go to one, it's going to be the Gator Bowl here in Jacksonville. The one in Tampa is that weekend of the 20th. I already got plans for Christmas, so probably wouldn't be able to make that one. But that's in Z. When the bowl games come out, it'll be a week from today. Next Sunday, the day after the championship games are played. So now you might start hearing some leaks of some bowl games and some programs already kind of agreeing to it. That might come out this week, but they probably want to see how conference championship week plays out. And then you got your bowl selection. You'll have your playoff selection, then your bowl selection all next Sunday. Muddy Waters, even while we were on fire with recruiting, I never thought we had a chance at a top 10 class or even top 5. Unreal, the Lagway effect. That's what a quarterback does. Polarizing, lightning rod. Pablo Bueno, how are we going to attack the portal? Very heavy. Very active. I think what we are hearing on the recruiting trail is a preview of what we should expect in the transfer portal. Got to see it play out. But I think this is a good preview. Okay. There we go. Good stuff, guys. Getting late, and hey, man, honestly, shout out, kudos to you guys. I mean, I need to give you guys a round of applause here because this is a late night. We got about 300 people watching live at almost midnight here on a Sunday night. I'm glad you guys are excited, just as excited as I am. Corey Bear brings up a good point. Yeah, I love Pyburn, but at the beginning of the season, him beating out Boone was just crazy to me. Well, staff knew what they were doing there, didn't they? Certainly, Pyburn deserved every bit of snaps he was getting on the field this fall. And you're right, it did kind of happen pretty early. Coming into the season, just because based on last season, what we were hearing going into that season, of that breakout season from that was supposed to be for Justus Boone, thought he might pick up where he left off. But no, Pyburn proved it. And him bouncing back from injury too. I mean, he put out on Twitter today, it was a year since he had his surgery. He got hurt in the Arkansas game last year. So it was a year since he had a surgery. And there he was with a flag in his hand in Doak Campbell Stadium at Ron Zook Field, celebrating with the Gators and playing in every game this season. Shout out to Jack Pyburn. Big bounce back for him. Kenny Roberts. Dave, do you think Cormani stays? Yeah, I would think so. Now, we'll see if anything happens with the scuffle on the field after FSU. I don't know if you're mentioning that in relation to him staying or not, but yeah, I think he should be staying. Now, I haven't heard anything or anything like that, but you just bringing him up, and that would be just my input there. Muddy Waters doesn't agree. Says Cormani gone. Too many talented guys. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, you're already talking about maybe Devin Moore hitting the portal too, so that opens up a spot. You're saying too many talented guys. Not really at corner, there's not. I mean, we'll see what happens to Jakeem Jackson as well, who missed a good bit of this season. So I think Florida's as deep as, that deep there. I mean, you go lose Bridges, who had to slide over from corner. You lose Jason Marshall, so I don't think there's a whole lot of bodies there at corner. Keep seeing it asked a couple times. Jeremy Carpenter, Dave, do you think we're going to get French? Man, I'm going to hold me to the fire on that one. Oh, if I had to make a prediction, I think I'm just going to ride the wave. I'm going to ride the wave and say, sure, why not? Go get it done. Like as I said earlier, to me, it's 50-50. I really do not know. But, hey, it's 50-50, just like I do on my game predictions. Let's put some orange and blue glasses on. I'll lean that way. Travis Peterson, it's almost 11 here in Panama City, but anytime I see Gators Breakdown, I got to watch. Salute to you. Thanks, man. Thanks for all that. Thanks for everybody staying up late right here, late night Gators Breakdown. Zach Reynolds, do you think Trey hits the portal? I think it was a possibility at one time. I don't see it now. I think he sticks. Last couple thoughts here. Corey brings up a good thought. Dijon Johnson definitely has a spot for sure. I thought he played pretty well to end this season. Matt Green. Here we go. And I'll end it on this. So who do y'all think will play bowl game as a guesstimation? So I'll say Gator Bowl here. And I saw it brought up. Jeremy says we might play the Wolfpack of NC State. And I say Syracuse as well. So that's what, as of now, that's the two teams I'd say Florida matches up against. And Syracuse just come off the big win against Miami. So we'll see. See how it all shakes out. But that'd be where I put it at right now. All right, everybody. Thanks for hopping in. Another fun episode. More recruiting talk. As I said, on Monday night, it will be 8:30 live with Will Miles. We'll take a look back at the FSU game. Whatever other storylines are out there. Vernell Brown III will be on Gators Breakdown at some point this week. On Wednesday night, we'll be doing an early signing day show as well. So, man, it's going to be a jam-packed week right here on Gators Breakdown. We're all here for it. Let's all share in this excitement together. Let's have some fun. That'll do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. I am your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Guys and girls out there, thank you for joining me on this episode of Gators Breakdown.